Okay. Hi, guys. How's it going? I'm just going to adjust this picture a little bit. That's pretty good. Okay. So you may notice, if you're crazy and like Sherlock Holmes or Sean Spencer, ordem y progreso. Yeah, order in progress. I put up my Brazil flag. I figured that wall space was fairly empty and plain, and it was time to show some love to the country that is my real alma mater. Now, you think that means the college I went to, but it actually means mother of my soul. So there you go. And it does mean college you went to or high school you went to. Anyway, welcome back. It's Quarantales. I think this is session 7 because I'll be reading chapter 7. I'm sorry I'm later. I said 4 o'clock, but it's 4:43. What's happened? I had a work meeting go almost twice as long as I expected it to. Still, it was a good meeting. It's rare that I say that about meetings, but this was a good one. I work with some pretty neat people at BYU. Honestly, it's a special job, a special place to work. Really enjoy it. Anyway, I wanted to very quickly. I'll let you know that I have cleaned up my office. I've made it much tidier than it was before, especially my desk. I've shined it and cleaned it. Check this out. What is happening here? Um, I've only eaten 1 or 2 snack cakes today, so that's good. And I think that I've pretty much demonstrated all of my knives that are not just awesome, interesting little tidbit weird tchotchkes. So today it's time for flashlights. So I love flashlights. Do you guys love flashlights? Because I freaking love them. This is this great. It's got a great weight to it. It's you could actually brain somebody with it or on that end, or you could brain somebody with it on that end. It turns on here. I mean, I'm not going to blind you, but that's a really bright light. And you can make it smaller and you can make it bigger. It's so cool, and I can make it a little dimmer, and then I can get some strobe. I love this flashlight. This is my office flashlight. I keep it very close to hand just in case the power goes out when it's dark. And our house may or may not have anywhere from 20 to 30 flashlights in it. So flashlights, yay. I don't know if anybody's watching. Maybe you are, but if not, that's okay. So it's time for Usurper. Away we go. And it's going to be fine. We're going to have a good time here. Maybe there's a bit of a lag between what I see and what you see, but that's okay. Oh, I should tell you, this hat, that's Alaska. I bought it in Alaska. Crazy talk, I know. My wife, Anne Marie, she grew up in Alaska, and so we're practically secondary residents of Alaska. Now, if we were full-on residents, we'd get that dividend every year, and that'd be pretty rad. But yeah, they don't just give that to any old person who happened to live there when they were a kid. So that's a shame. Here we go to Usurper chapter 7. Now I have decided something because I'm a nice person. I am going to give this copy of Usurper away when I'm done reading it to you guys. It's very exciting. I know. I'm just going to give it away to somebody. I'll do a drawing. It'll be signed, and it'll be fun. And so stay tuned, and at some point I will mention how I'll do that. It'll probably be some sort of contest, a drawing of anybody who participates in the last talk, or I don't know. We'll see. I may give you a scavenger hunt for some of the videos, like figure out who did what in some of these things. But yeah, I'm going to give it away. It'll be fine. So if you recall previously in Usurper's Quarantales reading, you heard about we were back with LAKHONI and group, and we had a lot of drama in that Alrona was describing to LAKHONI some of the things that she knows about their family. We found out that LAKHONI and Alrona, dun dun dun, are possibly heirs to at least one throne. The Azorites, if nothing else. The Usurper's up top. So Usurper, it's called Usurper, right? All my book titles have several reasons for their title. In this case, maybe people are usurpers. Now, the usurpers are what LAKHONI's people call the people to the north, because they think that the people to the north's ancestors stole the rule of the land from their older siblings. And they may be right, honestly. Now, if that sounds familiar to those of you who are familiar with the Book of Mormon, it should, because I stole it from there. And there will be more things in here that I stole from there because it's fun and I can. We need more awesome American fiction that draws from American scripture and that draws from also cool Mesoamerican fantasy and stuff. So here we go. Okay, so chapter 7, it's called To the Neck. Now, at the end of chapter 6, just real quick, Ree said this fight's not going away. Let's see here, because Ree said the Etsin hate the Zamana because they believe the Zamana live in the corpses of their protecting spirits. So that's the beginning of this chapter 7. Chapter 7, to the neck. The corpses of their what? Cho stood on his toes, trying to see out the nearest window. He braced himself by holding onto the worked tree trunk that had been carved to let light into the longhouse. They're protecting spirits, Ree said. She took in their confused faces. So nobody teaches you the history of your people? She nodded. Okay, I'll keep it short. Tell us what will help us get out of here. As she spoke, Alrona was shuffling around the inside of the woven branch walls and pulling on limbs. LAKHONI caught on and started at the other side of the cell, seeking a loose or weak spot in the weave. We have plenty of time. Tell it. It's quite simple, Ree said. My father wanted me to know the people of Zyron so that I could rule them if he never got a male heir. Which wasn't looking likely since he never looked at another woman after my mother died. How did she die? Alrona asked. LAKHONI tested branches, listening closely. Ree's mother, his own aunt. Ree got a pained expression. It was when I was born. The whole city was in mourning for an entire moon, Cho said. Everything red and no noise allowed. Ree blew through her nose. It's not important. She stared at the ground for a moment. Where was I? You were being taught about the people of Zyron? Cho said. Right, Ree said. So I learned about these people. Her gesture took in the building and everything around it. These are the Zamana. Women are in charge of pretty much everything. Figured that one out, LAKHONI said. Smart boy, Ree said dryly. Both the men and women fight and hunt, but the women are known as great warriors. Nobody is more silent. There are stories that say they can kill you and be long gone before you even fall. So, like the living dead? LAKHONI asked. The branch he pulled on gave a little. He jiggled it to see how much play it had. They're not assassins or thieves, Ree said. They follow a strict sense of honor and mutual respect. You saw how they acted out there. They respect competence and leadership. And they use trees, cutting them down and building houses and such. Which is why the other ones hate them. Alrona was halfway to LAKHONI, testing all the branches she could reach. The Etsin, yes, Ree gave a small smile. They worship trees. They worship trees? Cho snorted. You must be joking. Trees, a great spirit? What is the difference? Alrona shuffled a few feet, still pulling on branches. Cho's mouth dropped open. One is trees and the other is the great creator. Alrona rolled her eyes. At least trees are real and useful. What? Cho jolted as if struck. The Great Spirit is real. It created all and knows all and never did anything for me, Alrona said, and I can use trees to stay warm. She gave a wide, humorless smile. Sounds like these Zamana have it right. No, the Etsin, Ree said. The Etsin worship trees, and if you burn anything that isn't old, naturally fallen branches, they will kill you on sight. Strange. LAKHONI's branch moved only a little, and he couldn't get any more play from it. He moved on. They must either eat a lot of raw food or they spend a lot of time looking for wood. Exactly, Ree said. They hunt or gather branches pretty much all day. LAKHONI glanced at Ree. She had lived such a different life and knew far more than her youth let on. And for a former princess, she was taking the news that two of her companions were technically heirs to two different nations pretty well. LAKHONI shook his head at that. It didn't matter. He had no desire to sit on some throne and tell people what to do. But why do they worship trees? Cho asked. That's so wrong. They have a perfectly good reason. Ree lowered her voice. The story is that they were once a group of families. I think 3 big families with cousins and stuff. And they lost everything somehow. They were basically exiled from wherever they used to live. They prayed and wandered and prayed, but were in bad shape. Couldn't they hunt? Alrona said. Anybody with hands and a brain can catch food. They tried, but apparently it was never enough, Ree shrugged. It sounds strange to me, but I have never caught my own food, so I don't know. Her cheeks reddened a little. But right before they starved, they found a bunch of fruit trees. They were saved. So they decided to worship trees. Cho's mouth hadn't closed yet. He looked like he'd been told that dogs were horses and horses were apples. LAKHONI shook his head. Cho, relax. It's not so strange. People worship whatever means something to them. But the Great Spirit is the true God, Cho said. No, none of that, LAKHONI said, tingles of alarm trickling down his neck. You sound like the Bonaha with his preaching about inheritance and true chosen people. This is completely unimportant, Alrona said. She stood next to LAKHONI now, and they both worked on the somewhat loose branch he'd found. It still wouldn't give. Ree approached LAKHONI and Alrona. Cho joined them too. Have you found something? Her voice was barely a whisper. This branch is a little loose. LAKHONI pulled the branch as hard as he could. None of us will fit through that gap, Cho said. I still have this, LAKHONI said, tapping the dagger shoved in his boot. Let's go then, Alrona said. We need to wait until dark, LAKHONI said. Probably until they're all sleeping or something. Let's at least start cutting some of the bindings where they can't see. LAKHONI looked around, making sure that the people in the building couldn't see what they were doing. One boy was walking in long, slow circles, weaving around the sleeping areas, patting a baby that looked to be 6 or so moons old. The boy glanced their way, but paid them no special attention. 2 young mothers nursed babies while directing what could only be their husbands in weaving some kind of cloth. LAKHONI carefully slipped his dagger from his boot. Keep watch. He turned to the bindings and went to work. Alrona and the others stood between him and the view of the rest of the building. So we cut through the walls, then what? Cho asked. We slip out and get past any night watch they have, then put distance between us, Alrona said. I'm not sure this is going to work, Ree said. Maybe we can convince them to let us go. I don't want warriors like this chasing us. The sound of LAKHONI's dagger sawing on the leather straps was far too loud. Why would they chase us? Alrona pitched her voice louder. We've done nothing to them. Honor is everything to them. If they get offended, they might decide to find us and kill us to preserve their honor. Ree shook her head. I really don't get people sometimes. I don't want my throat cut in the middle of the night, Cho said. Ree is right. Chants from outside interrupted the conversation. The people in the building hurried outside. Within a few seconds, only the 4 captives remained. Go fast! Alrona moved across the cell, standing on her toes to try and see through a window what was happening. I am. Someone keep watching. LAKHONI kept working on the bindings. The branches were lashed together with hardened leather. He'd been sawing for what felt like hours and only made it partway through one layer. The bindings were hard and tough as rocks. How did they do this? Cho went to the other wall of the cell and tried to get a glimpse of the activity outside through the open doorway. Ree stayed next to LAKHONI. How did they do what? These bindings are impossible. LAKHONI checked his dagger's edge, still sharp. I feel like I'm trying to cut through rocks. The chanting outside grew louder. Ree, Alrona called, come look at this. What's going on out there? LAKHONI craned to see, but fought the urge to join the others. Some kind of ritual. They've got it, Cho said. They've got a goat, and they're putting it on an altar of some kind. Dread filled LAKHONI. Images of an altar of uncut stone in the middle of a wide cavern, a young man laid across it, filled him. Really? He let out a slow breath. It's only a goat, right? No people? What? Cho turned. What's that supposed to mean? He means no people, Ree said. They're sacrificing the goat, right? Cho grimaced. Oh. He glanced out the door. Yeah. Some tribes and people sacrifice humans, Ree said, but that's not so common now. Some tribes and people? Alrona continued watching the ritual. Muna pulled a knife from her hair, Cho said. I wonder what else she has in there. Frustration filled LAKHONI. His sharp dagger was making almost no progress. They're marking themselves with the blood, Cho said. A line on their foreheads and the backs of their hands. LAKHONI shuddered, remembering Vina and Gimno's faces after the sacrifice in the Cavern of the Separated. Why would they do that? We have to get out of here. Footsteps at the building's door made him stop his work with the bindings. He dropped his hand, hiding his knife. People filtered back into the dimly lit building. One was a younger woman around LAKHONI's age. Her eyes were the same shape as Simra's. She moved softly, feet rolling smoothly from heel to toe, her head moving up and down only the slightest with each step. Her hair was loose and adorned with only a multicolored braided cord woven into her very long, wavy hair. She wore a tunic with straps for sleeves. A long knife was tied to her waist and thigh. LAKHONI tore his eyes away, deep regret at leaving Simra behind, filling him. But she would have been killed or hurt. I think they're preparing to go fight, Ree said. It sounded like a chant for strength and preservation. Maybe this is our chance, LAKHONI said. Maybe if they're about to go fight the Etzen, we can get out while they're gone. Kamshazan! Wuna's voice cut easily through the dimness in the long, low building. LAKHONI held his dagger behind his right thigh. We go to battle! If we fight worthy of our ancestors, we could end the devilish Etzin today! Wuna strode through the building. Please let us go, Ree said. She visibly gulped and took a strong step toward the woven cell door. We've done nothing to harm you, and swear on our honor that we will not aid your enemies. Your people know no honor, Wuna said. You will not be permitted to leave until our conflict is over. The woman spun on one foot and stalked away, her gloating clearly done. LAKHONI and his friends exchanged glances. Despair clawed at LAKHONI. We have to get out of here now. And that is the end of Chapter 7. Chapter 8 is called A Name. And a new character for this book is introduced in Chapter 8. You have no clue who he is. Unless you've read the first book. And even then, a little bit. There is a little bit of bread coming in the first book. So now you've heard Chapter 7 of Usurper. And you've learned about my wonderful flashlight and my wonderful hat. And if you have any questions about the book or anything else, let me know. It's been fun to read this. I have to get back to my day job now before things go crazy, because it's a crazy job. I hope that you're enjoying this. Let me know if you're enjoying it. Let me know who's seeing it. I keep seeing that they're up to like 50 or so views sometimes of these videos. Guys, if you're watching, you got to let me know. You got to comment. You got to say hello. You got to say I love it. Give me suggestions on voices and stuff like that. Tell me if I'm reading too fast or too slow. But in all cases, I just hope you're having a great time. I know that it's a difficult time with the coronavirus, the pandemic, but I am delighted to be one of many people involved in sharing awesome, sharing stories and music. Keep looking for Dave Butler and Dennis Gaunt, looking for Michael Young, looking for all kinds of people out there sharing their awesome work, and share it with other people as well. There's some really good stuff out there. There's beauty everywhere. I know there's a song, there is beauty all around. There really is beauty everywhere. You know what? If you haven't stopped and picked one blade of grass lately, maybe go outside and do it. Pick one blade of grass and just examine it. Examine how it's flexible, but it's also got an interesting stiffness to it. You know, take a close look at how it tapers to a point. It's awesome stuff. Creation's rad. The world is rad. People are rad. And you guys are rad too. I've said rad a lot. I'm an 80s kid. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time for Quarantales. We'll probably do it tomorrow, Saturday. Thanks, guys. Take care.